Do you want to join the United Nations or any other international organizations? If you ever dreamed of building a career with the UN, you probably picture stability, purpose, global impact. But there is a truth they do not put on their recruitment posters. UN careers are amazing, but also incredibly unpredictable.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
I know this firsthand. After 25 years of working across missions, including operations in MINUSMA, Mali, I lived through the abrupt end of a mission and saw an entire system shift overnight. Thousands of us faced one of the biggest questions UN personnel ever face. What now? Today, we're tackling that same question again, but on an even bigger scale. In the next 15 minutes, you'll learn why UN funding cuts are happening and what's really at stake. Which career fields are shrinking and which ones are secretly booming.
What kind of secret?
And how you can stay competitive, resilient, and in demand no matter what unfolds. Because the truth is simple, opportunity still exists, but it belongs to those ready to adapt. So let's dive into the reality behind the headlights. To understand what's happening, we need to lift the hood on how the UN is actually funded. Spoiler alert! It's a lot messier and a lot more political than it seems.
I knew it! I knew it! I knew it!
How does UN funding works?
The UN's budget comes mainly from assessed contributions. These are mandatory payments from member states. And also voluntary contributions. This is like extra money pledged to agencies and programs. Peacekeeping and some agencies like WHO and WFP depend heavily on voluntary contributions, making them vulnerable when donor enthusiasm fades.
Gonna miss that enthusiasm.
Why the crisis now?
January 2025, following political shifts, the United States, traditionally the UN's larger donor, froze most foreign aid for a 90-day review period. Other major donors, like the UK and parts of Europe, began redirecting development funds toward domestic needs and border control projects. Meanwhile, global crises from Gaza to the Sahel exploded demand for humanitarian assistance at exactly the moment the money dried up.
Impact in numbers.
More than 3,000 IOM staff laid off globally, more than 600 UNHCR positions eliminated, hundreds of peacekeeping posts frozen or cut across MINUSCA, MONUSCO, and UNISFA, and so on. In short, the global demand for UN action is skyrocketing, just as the fuel to power it is running out.
What does this mean for UN jobs?
Here is the part where we separate fact from fear. Yes, cuts are happening. Yes, some sectors are hurting. But no, it's not game over for UN careers. It's a game changed, and you can absolutely still win.
Sectors facing financial freezes.
Traditional humanitarian field operations, especially those tied to US and European voluntary funding, protection officers, food distribution teams, they don't look so good. Admin and general support functions, where automation and remote work are quietly replacing all their roles. Certain peacekeeping missions as stabilization mandates expire or get restructured. Just look at MINUSCA, with the partial drawdown. But there's a twist. Sectors that are still growing and sometimes booming. Climate change, resilience, and sustainability. The UN can't afford to ignore the climate emergency. If anything, they are doubling down. Digital transformation and cybersecurity. Agencies are modernizing operations and scrambling to keep data secure amid rising cyber threats. Health and emergency preparedness. COVID taught everyone the brutal cost of weak systems. WHO, UNICEF, and regional entities are expanding emergency health staffing. Migrations and refugee innovation. UNHCR and IOM are funding new smart humanitarian projects in mobility, digital ID, and cross-border resilience. Key psychological frame. The obstacle is real: shrinking budgets, fewer permanent posts, fiercer competition. But the opportunity is also real. New fields, flexible roles, international innovation hubs are emerging faster than ever. The winners, those who adapt their skills, mindset, and search strategy, starting right now.
How to stay competitive in the UN job market.
Now that you know the landscape is shifting, the question is, how do you not just keep up, but get ahead? Let's break it down into 5 critical moves you need to make now. First, pivot smartly. Identify your transferable skills, because trust me, you have more than what you think. If you've worked in project coordination, guess what? You are halfway to becoming a climate adaptation officer or a digital resilience coordinator. Next, be strategic about upskilling. Short, practical certifications are gold right now. Programs like Climate Policy for Development Professionals from UNITAR or Introductions to Cybersecurity from Coursera. These can transform your profile fast, no need for a second PhD. Finally, embrace the T-shaped professional model. Deep expertise in one area, plus broad collaboration skills across fields like health, environment, and governance. Agencies are hunting for flexibility, not rigidity.
Well, I shall try to be less rigid in my thinking.
If full-time positions feel frozen, and they often are, consulting can be your secret weapon. This is what I'm doing. Consultants move faster between missions and agencies, building rich multi-sectors experience while staying active in the system. Target consultancy contracts that build your credibility in emerging fields, like a digital resilience assessment for UNDP or emergency logistics planning for WFP. Make sure your profiles are updated and live on key platforms like UNOPS, UNDP, rosters, UNHCR emergency response roster, WHO search consultants list. Visibility is half of the battle. Here is the mindset shift. The UN is a big player, but is not the only player. NGOs like Mercy Corps, Norwegian Refugee Council, ACTED are scaling up operations. They need your expertise, especially if you can work in volatile environments. Multilateral banks and organizations like the African Development Bank or the Asian Development Bank, EU External Action Service, those are heavily recruiting for development specialists, project officers, and policy advisors. And do not overlook the private sector. MasterCard Foundation, Google, and others are diving deep into humanitarian tech, resilience building, and climate finance. You can be part of that movement too. Finally, networking is not a nice to have anymore. It is your career oxygen. Focus on building meaningful relationships. Comment thoughtfully. Share useful articles. Engage authentically with leaders in your field. Join communities like Impact Pool Career Conversation, UN JobNet webinars, or the Global Shapers community to tap into fresh opportunities.
Then we can talk about finding you a job.
And above all, find a mentor. Whether formal or informal, mentorship from someone active in the fields like climate diplomacy, digital security, emergency management can shortcut your path by months or even years. Each of these moves strengthen your resilience and positions you to not just survive these transitions, but to come out ahead. Skills are critical, networks are crucial, but let's not kid ourselves. Without resilience, none of it will stick. Use mental contrasting. Before every application, every interview, mentally rehearse the best possible outcome and the obstacle you will face. Picture yourself succeeding, and then picture the frustrations, rejections, and the bureaucratic absurdities. Why? Because research shows that people who do mental contrasting, hope and realism, persist longer and adapt better. Instead of visualizing a perfect world, Visualize real-world messiness. That job ad that disappeared mysteriously. That recruiter who ghosts you after 2 interviews. That system crash 2 minutes before submitting your applications. And then visualize yourself calmly adapting and trying again. Because you will. And listen, tie yourself to a strong identity. You're not someone looking for a job. You are a global resilience professional who adapts, who grows, and who ultimately serves. Whether inside the UN system or wherever international needs call. The truth is, the international career landscape is changing. But resilient, adaptable, mission-driven professionals will always be needed. You're not just surviving the storm, you're learning how to navigate it. And one day, you'll be the one leading others through it.
Moving forward with confidence.
If there's one thing my own journey taught me, is this: UN careers can change overnight. Missions close, budgets shrink, structures collapse. But careers, real careers, aren't built on structures. They're built on adaptability, on resilience, and on the fire you carry inside. Even with funding cuts, even with chaos, the demand for committed, skilled international professionals is not disappearing. It's evolving. And if you move smartly, build flexibly, and lead with purpose, you won't just survive. You'll thrive. You'll be part of shaping whatever comes next. So let's sum up. Pivot to sectors that are growing. Build flexible consulting portfolio if needed. Broaden your universe beyond the UN. Engage and grow your network intentionally. Strengthen your psychological resilience for the long game. And now it's your turn. In the comments, tell me, what's the one action you will take this week to stay competitive? Let's create a network of doers, not warriors. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, because the journey to build a strong international career is long, and we're better traveling it together. Download the UN Job Platforms master list in the description below. It's free and packed with, I guess, almost every official portal you should be checking weekly. And if you need more strategies or a bit of motivation, I'll see you right here in the next episode. Stay resilient, stay curious, stay ready, and never forget, your work matters.